Welcome to Venture Podcast, presented by VNTR, the world's leading investors community, the place to learn from VCs and capital allocators.
I don't cheat myself. I know that the fact that I was successful in maybe 2 or 3 investments is just because I was lucky, not because I was smart. And I could easily lie to myself, say, hey, that's a statistics. You invest in 10 companies and, 2 or 3 are doing okay. You fail in the rest. No, it's maybe that's a statistics, but doesn't mean that that's the right way. Success is a combination of many, many, many factors. And the most important factor is people. And I was lucky to find the right people, of course, to work with me. And those people needs to have IQ. Everybody knows IQ. EQ, much more important, emotional quotient. And AQ, which maybe is the most important, that's adversity quotient. It's complying with problems, and so that's the story.
Hey guys, welcome to VNTR podcast. Today we are hosting Dov Moran, general partner at Grow Ventures. Dov is a well-known figure for inventing the flash drive and many others. So we would love to hear your story and your journey as an entrepreneur, as an inventor, and as a VC. So welcome, Dov. Maybe you can quickly introduce yourself, and then we will dive into various interesting questions.
Hi, everybody, and great being with you. It's always the difficult part, the part where I need to talk about myself. Tell us about you. I'm Israeli. I was born here. I'm engineer. Went to the Navy, actually 8.5 years in the Israeli Navy as the last years as the head of the microprocessors department. And then established my first company, M Systems, which turned to be a company with revenues of over $1 billion, acquired by SanDisk for $1.6 billion. Had some good products, some nice inventions like the invention of the USB flash data storage, the USB stick. And then established a few other companies and was the chairman of an Israeli fab. Fab comes from fabrication, factory. That's a factory for semiconductors, Tower Semiconductor. Did a very, I believe, very nice turnaround of this company. I joined us when the company was almost at bankruptcy, and left while the company was kicking and growing, and actually has value of several billions of dollars today, which I'm very, very proud of. And so the time I began to invest in startups, people who worked for me that came to me with ideas, and sometimes I moved to the other side. I moved to the black side, the side of the investors, and I established Grow Ventures, which is what I'm doing today. Grow Ventures is a venture capital fund investing in Israel in early stage deep tech. You should ask what is deep tech. I'll answer. Deep tech,
we will ask.
All the difficult stuff, the things which are the core of technology, which could be semiconductors and cloud infrastructure, and biotech and things like space and quantum and materials, which I believe are very interesting. So that's me. That's what I'm doing in my life. And on top of that, I play in a rock band, which is great.
Oh.
I play at Congress. I have a band. And I wrote 2 books which were published in Israel, and I'm doing other interesting stuff which relates to the Israel political situation, and help some other non-profit organizations.
Yeah. And what do you prefer? Do you prefer the entrepreneur side or the investor side?
First of all, what I found is that as an investor, you can still stay entrepreneur. When I invest, it's not giving money. It's not, hey, I'm the tunnel of money to the right companies. I don't see myself just as the guy who chose the right companies. I'm trying to choose the right companies, of course, But once I invest, I'm part of the company. I'm part of the company in my heart, even with my shirts. Yeah, you see my shirt, Williot. It's one of the companies I love very much. I'm the consultant of the CEO. I'm a mentor in many cases. If the CEO is young, I do work for my companies. I do raise ideas that relate to the company, or finding new channels, or modifying a product, or change the strategy. So I'm still entrepreneur in my DNA. By the way, many of the good investors are entrepreneurs in their background. If you look at Vinod Khosla or Ben Horowitz, these guys were entrepreneurs that actually didn't cross to the other side, but took their knowledge and know-how and experience and brought it into this issue of dealing with many companies rather than working with a single company as a founder. So, to your question, it's not two sides. It's actually it's
an upgrade.
No way, yeah, it's an upgrade in ways.
Great. Yeah, so kind of, can we start with your entrepreneurial journey and kind of after the army, how did you decide to be an entrepreneur or like start a company? What triggered you?
The story is so stupid that it's not example for anything. And if I get into the points where I tell my story of how did I establish M Systems, I say that, guys, don't do it. It's not the right way. I was just lucky to survive. And by the way, many times you look at the startups and what really drove the success, one feature of entrepreneurs, which is very crucial, is the determination, the AQ. AQ comes from adversity quotient. It's the ability to sustain failures and problems and bad times and survive. Yeah, survival. So my story was that I left the Navy and I saw that hey, I'm smart. I should open my own company, and I'm talking about many years ago, back to the end of the 80s. And at these days in Israel, there were no VCs, there was no source of money for startups. There were no startups almost. I think that the year that I established the company, that maybe there were additional 4 companies that were established overall in high tech in Israel, which I was one of them. And I had no clue about how to do. And we began originally in a variety of products, and we survived for one thing, because we did subcontracting to other companies. But at some time, we got into this idea of flash data storage, and we began doing flash data storage, tough to believe, to the military market, where the requirements was to have a storage that could sustain the vibration, the all
without a disk
issues related to storage, which flash could provide, rather than hard drives, which are very sensitive to vibrations or a high temperature. So that was the beginning. Nothing glory about that. I even have a funny story, because these days when we began to do flash, I was on a way to basically develop another product, and I was close to raise money for a company or for a product. We had a great name, Educat, which relates to education. It's actually connecting to the PC a keyboard in the shape of a cat. This is the Educat, yeah. And the idea is that for children, there would be applications that you could buy, and actually through this keyboard, you can actually hit the variety of keys. You could talk to it, like say up, down, right, left, and build a whole. It was like a basis of a whole ecosystem of applications for young children. And then I was residing actually at a company that did military hard drives. And we did a project for them, or for Tadiran, an Israeli company, with memory, with backup by battery. And I saw the problem and say, hey, why don't you use whatever we did, something similar to what we developed? The CEO then said, no, the battery is problematic. I read about flash memory. I went to him and said, hey, there is a solution with no batteries. He said, that's great. If you make it, we'll sell it. Of course, we didn't make it. I didn't think that it's a great market. But then when I was busy with this educate idea, he came to me one day when I ate lunch at the company and said, hey, what's happening to the no batteries? I said, actually, not a lot. I'm just writing the business plan for that, because the guys who wanted to invest in educate asked me to write a business plan. And I don't clue what's a business plan. So I was just learning what's a business plan. He said, yeah, you write a business. How much money do you want to raise for this flash data storage? I said, hey, I'm in the middle of my lunch and I went to my and I'm not interested to do flash data storage. Who cares about that? So I tell him a very, very high number, and when he gets his number, he will give up on me doing that. So I told him the amazing large number of $300,000. So he said, finish your lunch, come to my office, I'll give you a check. And that's how the company was practically established as M Systems, flash data storage. And that's how we chose, if I can use the term chose, to do flash memory. But, over time we went deeply into that. We understood the market. We understood we became a strong player. We had many partnerships, great people. We were riding on a market that grew like crazy, which of course relates to luck as well. We were strong enough to fail when there were disasters, and there were disasters. And, that's part of the story. And I'm telling the story not because that's the right way to establish companies, but, success is a combination of many, many, many factors. And the most important factor is people. And I was lucky to find the right people, of course, to work with me. And those people needs to have IQ. Everybody knows IQ. EQ, much more important, emotional quotient. And AQ, which maybe is the most important, that's adversity quotient. It's complying with problems. And so that's the story.
So do you think, do you have a tendency to favor people who've been in the military because of that AQ quotient? Do you think it helps at all?
Military has good things and bad things. Military, actually, you're not expected to think out of the box. You are expected to get orders and comply with the orders. So actually, the opposite. I look for the people who are bright, who understand where they are going to. And many entrepreneurs think, hey, I have a great idea. That's enough. I look for the guys that have amazing EQ. EQ is the ability to tell people about the idea that you have and get them going after you, despite the fact that you actually take them into an unknown land, very many hurdles, many things that you don't really know. You suspect, you believe, but you don't really know where you are taking them. You have an idea about a great technology product. Can it be implemented? Maybe yes, maybe not. Will people like these features? Maybe yes, maybe not. Would the HMOs ready to pay for for that? Maybe yes, maybe not. So if you take people that go after you, work very hard, you have to make them believe. You have to make them be your friend. You lead. They will look at you as the leader. People that lack these capabilities cannot be good entrepreneurs. So people first, that's maybe the most important issue. And all this combination of IQ, EQ, and AQ, which many people don't understand the importance of that. That's what I believe is making a success. Clearly, you need to have good idea. Clearly, you need to have large markets. But it's overall combination of stuff. But again, people first.
Do you think IQ, EQ, and AQ can be developed, or is it something you're born with?
everything can be developed. You look at the marathons, and clearly the guys who are doing the best marathons are the runners from Africa. Why? Because of DNA. Hey, these guys, if their parents were not good enough running 40 kilometers, they won't survive. So the non-good runners over the years died, every generation died, and the better runners were surviving. So at the DNA level, they are better. But, there's a but. From time to time, the guys who win the marathons are guys from Germany or US. And hey, how come? The DNA is important up to a level. You can develop whatever you have, and that's a lot depends on your personality. How much do you want to develop? There are things which, when I talk about myself, I define myself. I'm the worst person I know really as a late bloomer. I'm a late bloomer. I'm a true late bloomer. I don't know anybody, really. I don't know anybody which is such a lousy late bloomer like me in any subject from age 0. I was born at the 42nd week, and even my mother went after the 42 weeks to the hospitals, pregnant, when she was pregnant, yeah. And she got, I don't know what to call it, this material that makes you have babies, didn't help. The stupid guy, me, was there, there at her whatever, and it was nice there. I didn't understand it. I have to do something to get out of there, because I'm a late bloomer, yeah. And finally, she has to go to surgery. How do you call it? Surgery. Yeah, to take. But that's where I began. I went to the kindergarten. I do remember the nurse at the kindergarten telling my mother that I'm not good enough, not mature enough to go to school. And I can go through that, but I am constantly trying to learn and improve myself and become better in whatever I'm doing. I began to play music. I'm playing in a band. I began to play music 5 years ago. I love music. You can ask me, why didn't you go to learn music when you were younger, like 16 or? Because I didn't think about, because I'm late bloomer. And I began to play, and trust me, I was terrible. Even as a congas player, I was terrible. But I constantly improve, and I'm not yet good enough, but I'm not so bad. Maybe 5 years going forward, then 5 years from now, I will be one of the best congas players. Yeah. So everything, if you are determined to improve yourself in a subject, you can be very good in what you want to do. If you are making podcasts and you want to be the leader in the podcast in the world, you need to ask yourself what we are doing and could improve. There is somebody which is better. Let's listen to his podcast and let's see what he is doing. Let's analyze it. Let's check ourselves. Let's talk with guys who did it before and it did great success. What did they do? People who did great marketing. Because what's success in podcast? And I'm talking to you as an expert from me. But what defines success? How do we define our success? Maybe marketing is crucial. Maybe means of making people hear about us. Maybe we should add things like, everybody that sent feedback to or heard 10 podcasts gets a prize, get a shirt. Yeah, there are so many things that could be done. But again, you can go there, you can work hard to do it, or you can be happy with what you are doing, and then you'll be fine. But fine maybe at this level rather than being at a higher level. And that's something that I believe I'm doing in my life. I think that as an investor, I began to invest before establishing Grove Ventures. And when I look at my investments before Grove, the truth is I'm a bit ashamed about them. Many of those investments were bad. I did some success. I don't cheat myself. I know that the fact that I was successful in in maybe 2 or 3 investments, it's just because I was lucky, not because I was smart. And I could easily lie to myself, say, hey, that's a statistics. You invest in 10 companies and, 2 or 3 are doing okay. You fail in the rest. No, it's maybe that's a statistics, but doesn't mean that that's the right way. The way I invested was wrong. The things I was looking at, not enough. The due diligence I've done was very, very poor. I had to do much better due diligence. Establish Grove. First year, we were immature as a fund and made many mistakes. But over the time, we constantly improve ourselves. And clearly we are not the best, but we are moving toward becoming the best. If we'll ever be the best, I don't know, but I know that we will be, or we are in the way to be, one of the best funds. And that's the desire, of course.
Can we step back at you being an entrepreneur? So you had very big success, but then you kept building other companies. And not everything succeeded, right? It's kind of, I remember before the iPhone, you had the amazing idea of a small phone.
Yeah.
So,
wait a minute. I'll bring it here. I'll show it. Come on.
Yeah. Nice.
That's really very, very small phone. That's the smallest phone in the world. This is Model 1, and this was Model 2, Model 3. Which was a bit larger. This was with a touch already. Great idea. I think that the idea was good. People say it's a great idea. The whole issue of people were excited. It's the issue of modular phone that you can build.
So you had extensions, right? Like you could integrate it in various devices.
By the way, one of the things that show you that, hey, good idea doesn't mean that it's going to be success. By the way, there is excuse why it failed. We can talk about Modu just for a full session of a podcast. Yeah. I'll try to make it short. First, there is a good excuse why we failed. Apple came to the world and changed the market in front of our eyes. And the whole issue of making the phone modular and build whatever and build it the way we want it became actually totally irrelevant because with the Apple concept, there is a display, change the display, make the display and add features and functions by applications, and the whole issue of modularity actually would lose its credibility or lose its benefits.
Timing wasn't right, or the product irrelevant.
So for me, it's it's great to hang up to this concept that, hey, Apple came and changed the market and it's not my fault. By the way, it didn't kill only Modu, it killed companies such as Motorola and Nokia. So I say, hey, I'm just like Motorola and Nokia, I'm one of the victims of the iPhone. But let me tell you something, guys. That's bullshit. This is really bullshit. When I talk with entrepreneurs, which are second-time entrepreneurs, I always ask them, tell me about your failure. Why do you fail? And then some of them say, it's not me. It's the board was very difficult. I had to do this change. Or they say, I chose a bad partner. I thought he's a great VP R&D. He wasn't good. I said, no. You are bullshitting me. It's your fault. Everybody that tries to tell you that the failure is not because of him is bullshitting you. Yeah. And he is not the right person to invest in. I failed not because the market changed. I failed because I made mistakes. What were the mistakes? What was the biggest mistake I made? I was weak. When I began Modu, or actually even before establishing Modu, Eli Harari, which was the CEO of SanDisk that acquired M Systems, I didn't want to really do that because I had this idea of Modu. And I told him, but he said, you have to go and meet Russell, who was all these years the CEO of Tower. Went to Tower. Russell played a great game. He opened his window, and he's in a place called Migdal HaEmek. It's in the northern part of the country. He said, I'm so close to terminate the company because we don't succeed to raise money, we don't. And if no Israeli would come to help me, then I'll have to close. And all this town here, we have 1,200 engineers, people working at the tower. Most of them are from Migdal HaEmek. The whole city will be, will be unemployed. And I say, okay, I'll come. And I hear in parallel to Modu. So I have my problems at Modu and my problems at Tower. One night I didn't sleep because of Modu, and the second night I didn't sleep because of Tower. I wasn't focused. The market changed in front of my eyes, and I wasn't alert to the change. And I wasn't good enough of hearing my people or hearing the market demands and change requirements and do the changes required fast enough. And one of the lessons is when I talk with entrepreneurs, I say, guys, you need to be focused. Don't tell me that you can do, you have some business, which is not related to your company, and will run the two businesses at the same time. No way. You want my money, you want my investor, my LP's money, you're going to give you 150% just to the company I'm investing in. You do nothing out of that. There is maybe one case which we took an exception to that, but it's one of the rules. And the message, the entrepreneurs, guys, be focused. You have to be focused. It's so difficult to create success that if you are not focused, you will fail. And I wasn't focused when I was running Modu, and that's the reason that Modu failed.
What if the company has multiple business lines? Kind of, they're focused in one company, but the company has multiple products or business lines.
But by the way, that's okay, because many times, if it's two products that are not totally have no relations between them, that's a problem. And that I would recommend to split the company if the two product lines are successful, or ignore one of them which is not successful. Make the real. And by the way, it's all driven by numbers. You have to see the numbers, the potential, the probabilities, competition, whatever is there. And we do it in all our investment. Each one of them goes with a very detailed scenarios, analysis of what's going to be what's going to happen to the company. Each one with how much money shall we make, probabilities, and each one of the partners is defining separately his numbers, and that's a base for a decision. I believe that that's a way to take decisions. In such a company, you have to do this and do it ruthlessly. If a product, there are two products and one of them is so, cut it, forget about it, put the focus wherever it's required. Now, in some cases, there are relations between the product. At M Systems, my company first, when we were very large, we were at $1 billion sales, we have 4 product lines, we have 4 divisions. But then you're big enough, you are large enough, you have 4 divisions, head of divisions, people at each one of them will be 100% focused. And there always was connection between the products. All of them were related to flash, and getting flash at the right price, at the right obligations of the suppliers was an art by itself. And we were very, very good in do that. And actually the one division supported the others because we had this Conky, the USB flash drive, which was big volumes, but relatively low margins. But because of the big volumes, we got the good price of flash that could serve us at other divisions, which were smaller volumes, but much higher gross margins. So without the USB flash drive, we would not see success of the other divisions. And if we would go only with the other product without the USB flash drive, they would fail or not do as well as we did, because they won't get the volume to get the price low and the relations we have with the. So sometimes there is synergy. You have to look at it and really analyze.
We've done your guest number 12 on our podcast. We're still very early, but I think every single person we've spoken to has said that focus is one of the most important things. But Dov, have you ever heard of a theory called red car theory before?
No.
So basically, today, right? If I said to you, I'll give you $100 for every red car you see, you probably wouldn't know like how many red cars you saw. But when you go out for a walk this afternoon, you're going to be looking for the red cars. And I think as an entrepreneur, you're kind of wired to be looking for opportunities all the time. And I think that distracts you a lot from what you really should be doing. So I guess my question for you is how do you combat that? How do you basically say no to 99% of your shower ideas because you need to focus on the one that is, the chosen one?
So first of all, I do see entrepreneurs, and I do see the guys that are defining strategy and define vision and mission statement and values and comply with them. And they are the ones who it's very difficult for them to really stay focused, and every distraction takes them into another, hey, by the way, we do have this customer who wants this. It doesn't really exactly what we are planning to develop, but maybe we'll, by the way, there is no yes, no, and there is no clear cut here. But one thing which I'm trying to do at my company is when I go into investment at a company, I ask about and each one of my CEO will tell you that that's the way I treat the issues. I try to get into a document. But the first thing I do, I say, hey, I want to see mission, the value, the vision, how is the world going to be, the mission statement, what you are going to do in this world, the value of the company. Say, well, why do we care about value? Hey, we know we are good people. No. I want you to write your values. And by the way, if they come with 7 values, this means that you don't have any value, because they say, no, they will be integrity, customer-oriented, technology-driven. Come on, we have to decide on the 3. Just 3.
What are your 3, just out of interest?
Who are you? If you want to be a technology leader, you don't go after there are customer that wants this and this, because then you go after the customer, not after technology leadership. Okay, that's okay if you defined in your values. So I try to help the companies by first of all telling them, tell yourself who you are and follow this. And if they're saying we are customer-driven company, which is okay as well. We are listening to customers, what they need, what they want, and then you go after opportunities. That's okay. There are companies who succeeded like that, but you have to know that this is what you are doing and stick to that. Okay. So yeah, I'm trying to make them focus, but there are no formulas of success. Focus is important, but I won't tell you that, hey, the only way to succeed is just to be focused. Focus is a must. At Modu, with the big mission that we had, it was a huge mission. We had to be focused on the product, what we want to do, and we were not.
Let's switch for you to being an investor. Like, you started investing as an angel, right? You mentioned that you didn't do it right? It's kind of what were the main kind of things that you didn't do right?
As a technology guy, I'm very much driven. I get excited by technology. I see stuff which is, hey, wow, what a technology. You learn afterwards that, hey, the great technology is not the root cause of success. It is important. Clearly, you should not ignore amazing technology to see, but many times from the great technology to a product, there is a big gap. Cost is very, very important. If I'll invest, let's say, develop a seat, which is like the one that you are sitting in here, chair, and that is much more comfortable. It has an AI inside. The AI is reading actually what's going in your mind. It collects history of your body, by the way, it might be a great idea. I'm giving it free to anybody who wants to develop. But it's really a super smart chair. Yeah. But then to implement it, the cost would be $10,000. You need the H200 NVIDIA, by the way, it costs much more than $2,000. You need 800 of NVIDIA. You need, actually you need to connect this because of the power dissipation of this NVIDIA. You need to hook your chair constantly to the power. Yeah. I think that people don't like to sit on a chair connected to a power because of maybe emotional stuff. So maybe my idea is really, really stupid. So I came with a great technology. Hey, we'll have an AI analyzing constantly what's happening to you. How do you see it? Do you relate to the left, to the right? Are you thinking, or your mind? Because it has EEG on top of the processor. So it looks at did you rest enough? Are you in a constantly flow of thinking? And hey, you need to take some time to rest among all these, events that you are doing.
Yeah.
Idea might be great, but the whole concept as a concept is stupid. And I was driven technology, saying, hey, wow, that's amazing. That's revolutionary. Let's do it, yeah? So I put a lot of money. I put money into some of those cases that were practically, they were wrong. I put money into stuff of great people that came to me with amazing performance, but practically no way to protect, no IP. And then, it's a very cool world. In today's world, if you have a great idea, but you can't protect it, then the fact that you did amazing stuff is practically meaningless. Somebody come and will copy it. And, it's just a matter of time. And once you are facing competition and you don't have a real advantage, except that I did it first, which is not advantage, who cares, yeah? You are in trouble. So, many mistakes like that. The good thing about having a fund, I have 3 partners, and we are very different. Each one of us came from a different background and activities and technology mindset. And we are, each one of us is highly opinionated. So it means that it's tough to take decisions, investment decisions. There are many arguments. There are many, I won't say fights. It's a very positive fights about why would it succeed, or many challenges. You go to investment committee. You never go and do it at once. You go and actually you get out with many questions you need to answer. We call it first due diligence gate, which is, hey, the partners and other people at the investment staff asking questions. And after you do that, you go to a meeting where you try to answer the question, but it raises other questions. So the process takes time, and it's a tough. It's not enough to be in a position that, hey, I am excited, guys, you have to invest on that. Fuck you. That would be the answer. Prove to us. And it's a very positive process that we are going. I didn't have it before I established the fund.
And how did you guys get together as partners? Like, did you know each other before, or?
Well, the fund was established by me and by Lotan. Lotan was my sort of a PA, also a consultant, my right hand. My right hand is maybe the right definition. Before I established the fund, we worked together already 13 years or something nearby, 12, 13 years. He came as a very young guy at the age of 26, 27. So a lot of things he learned, I believe he learned while being with me. Renana was a principal, joining us as a principal 7 years ago. And she was very, very good. After a few years as a principal, we made her a partner. And Lior joined about 4 years ago. And he's an entrepreneur in his background. He's an electrical engineer. He's a very, very smart guy. And yeah, we are working together about 5 years. It's a long time. I won't tell you that, hey, everything is smooth. We love each other. Yeah, we love each other. Nothing is smooth. Every investment is not just for me, for everybody is a hurdle. You have to convince the others. By the way, in general, it's enough that one of the partners would be highly convinced that finally he will pass the investment committee. We don't ask to have a majority or even a vote of a consensus or even majority. Yeah. No, consensus, that's the wrong way to invest. Majority, we don't take. Convince somebody. Yeah. You have to convince somebody. And it's an effort. It's a tough effort because, everybody raises questions and everybody cares. But the process is a good process. And I think that we are doing very, very well as investors as part of it.
And how long does it typically take until you guys make the decision to invest?
There are investments we have done within a few days, and there are investments which took us 6 months of due diligence and testing and verifying, and maybe sometimes go back to the company, to the founders, and say, guys, we think that you are great guys. We think that you have a great idea, but I think we think that the market is wrong. So you have to maybe think about some variations or look for other mean usages, or maybe sometimes prove to us that what you have as an idea can really work. So, and it takes a time. There are situations where we give money to entrepreneurs that come to us and they sit within us as EIRs, entrepreneurs in residence, and they look for ideas. So there's no, and it could take a year. Yeah. So there's no amount of time. If we need to run fast, we are running very fast.
And you guys chose the thesis of deep tech, right? It's kind of, you were in deep tech, and it's kind of you chose what you understand best, I suppose.
Yeah, we invest where we understand. And by the way, we are a deep tech fund, but we don't invest only in deep tech. Majority is deep tech. I think the focus is deep tech, but Lotan, which is not electrical engineer, he has a technology background, but he's not more in software. Lotan is doing investments. Most of his investments are in B2D, business to developers.
B2D.
He got his experience and knowledge and know-how. A lot of it is cloud software infrastructure, which again, he does an amazing job of understanding how things are working. And Anna is doing a lot of health, digital health, which again, that became her expertise. Lior is doing energy, goes to Lior, energy of defense, because, hey, he was 11 years at Unit 81, which, he was the number 2 on the technology of the company. Then he went to establish SolarEdge. But clearly, there are not too many people in the world that understand so well energy like he's understanding. And I'm doing the deep tech, which is things like materials and quantum and space, a variety of stuff which is not the extraordinary, and has less actually attention from the other VCs existing in the market. I think it's interesting. I think I'm touching the future, and that's amazing feeling. Hey, guys, I'm touching one thing which I tell my friends about my job. I say it's a crazy job because you get to touch the future. You get to meet a lot of amazing people. I do believe that the best guys, best entrepreneurs in Israel are coming to us. There are reasons for that. Yes. And they pay me money for that. She said, hey, I will do it for free. Anyway, I get to meet many of the guys who are influencing, the most influencing guy at the high tech, the semiconductor guys in America, like the CEOs of Intel, Western Digital, Altera, number 2 at AT. And it's important because, first of all, they meet me because I do have value. I'm one of the very few people in the world that was deeply into fabs, understanding very well how fab is working, the process, the issues related to that, and on the other side, to companies who develop chips. And usually people they are in one of the sites, they are not in both sites. Intel and Samsung are the only companies today in the world that do both designing of chips and having a fab, which at Samsung, it's like 2 totally different companies, unrelated, which means the Samsung who makes component can go and manufacture the components at TSMC, And on the other side, the competitors of Samsung easily are going to the fab to manufacture their chips. So Intel is the only company actually today that has both sides. But even at Intel, people are at the manufacturing, the fabs, or at the IDM, the chip developers. Yep. And one of the unique things about myself, I was at both sides, so I do understand. And over the years, you build relations, you build connections, you put yourself in a situation that people like to hear me, to meet with me. And of course, this helps the business very, very much. It's one of the reasons entrepreneurs are coming to us. They know that the level of support they will get is much higher than any other VC in the country.
What particular areas of deep tech are you most excited about? I mean, maybe your top one or two. Like, if you had to double down on a particular area, just out of your interest, what would it be?
First of all, there are a lot of things which are interesting, and every time it's something else. But if I would talk about where I see the large potential, I do believe that it's in the connection between the AI and health, overall health, which means digital health and even pharma, medical devices. You look at the health market today, and it seems like, hey, this is highly advanced area, where smart people put their efforts and time to develop medicine, develop new devices. Actually, the whole issue of healthcare is really very problematic. I do have a daughter, which she is a physician. She is a female physician, a gynecolog, or how you say it. And I saw how did she study and how did she gather her knowledge and how she is becoming an expert. And it's all the method that were there 100 years ago. She's getting a lot of data in the university. She has to study a lot by heart. Hey, come on, it's less important today. Then she goes to a hospital as somebody who studied the hospital, and she gets the knowledge from the physician that are there. But actually, they got their knowledge from the people and they don't share. And there's so much data about what really works and what doesn't work in what she's doing. And the collection of this data, the ability to study from the data, to get into smart conclusions, what to do, what not to do, doesn't yet exist. You go to physician, each one of us, we go to a physician, he has 10 minutes to look at you. Actually, he doesn't have 10 minutes. It's a bluff. Theoretically, he has 10 minutes, but in these 10 minutes, somebody knocks the door, and the secretary calls because there is some emergency, and he actually needs to look at everything related to you, because many things are influencing what you are, but he doesn't have the time. So the treatment that he will give you will be at a very shallow level. Did you watch Dr. House? It's a series. It's a very famous one. If you know, you have to look at it. It's amazing.
I've seen it, yeah.
I think this is maybe the best series I ever saw in TV. I don't watch TV usually, but this one I'm now watching. It's quite old. It's about 12 years ago, but 8 seasons. But I just began watching it about 3 months ago. It's
Stephen Laurie, right? Stephen Laurie is the actor?
That's right. Yeah. He's a piano player as well. It's a great story in general. I'm recommending clearly to anybody who deals with healthcare, because you get to see how a real analysis should be done, and you get to understand how the regular cases are analyzed in a very shallow way, mostly because it's still done with people, with their knowledge, with their memory, with their capabilities, because the knowledge is not spread, because the tools are not at the hands of computers. And we will need physicians. They are very, very important, but they are more important for the contact with the sick man. Yeah. You should not expect a robot to come to a patient and say, hey, you're going to die. Oh, we're going to give you, you need people to talk. You need the humanity to be there as part of the treatment, but you need computers to take decisions. And this is not done today. So a lot of things relate to healthcare and AI. And that relates to developing new drugs. And that relates to getting sensors which will give you more information about what's your situation and find things ahead of time and not when it's too late. So I do believe that in this combination, and I'm very excited on any opportunity to invest in such solutions.
That's great. I do agree with you that there's a lot of things to be done. Can we talk about the startup ecosystem in Israel? So you mentioned that you were one of the 5 companies out there when you started, and now there are thousands of companies. So how do you see the current ecosystem, and what can be improved apart from the politics?
So in general, I believe that Israel is an amazing place of entrepreneurship, by the way. And by the way, entrepreneurship is not equal to smart. And I can talk about Israelis or Jews, by the way, and I'll explain what I mean by that. As I don't think that Jews are smarter than any other nation. It's a strong statement. Actually, I can prove you why not. But I do believe that Jews in the world, not just in Israel, are more entrepreneurs. So the entrepreneurship feature exists. It's a part of the DNA. By the way, it doesn't mean it's good or bad. There are good things about being entrepreneurs. There are some bad things about being entrepreneurs. Entrepreneurship is good to a level. There are many problems or issues related to entrepreneurship. You don't build a big factory that works perfectly when every employee in the factory is, in theory, an entrepreneur. Yeah, you build a lot of cows, actually. You build a lot of startups that are great to go to a specific level, but many of them will be actually sold because the mentality of the CEO, mentality of the employees, they say, we create success. Now we have to move to the next one because we are entrepreneurs. Yep. And you see it many cases in Israel. So I do believe that there are a great entrepreneurship in this country. So not because of Israel as Israel, because entrepreneurship is a Jewish part of our DNA. One thing which I have to explain about Jews in the last 2,000 years were living in the diaspora. They did not live in their country. And they were, most of the time, they were thrown out from one country to the other. They had to, and in everywhere they were, whether this is in Europe or in Africa or in Iraq or Iran, they were not allowed to own land. Jews were not allowed to own land. So in a situation where agriculture was 98% of the economy, there were no factories. The people didn't build stuff, build canyons or build malls and did the e-commerce, nothing like that. So actually the economy was, agriculture. And that's what existed. Jews were out of the economy. So in order to survive, they had to do things which are extraordinary. If they were not entrepreneurs, they would not survive. So one generation after the other, the non-entrepreneurs died. That's a story. You can say it's a sad story. You can say, but it's reality. And you do it a generation after generation that you go after 2,000 years into a situation that Jews have better entrepreneurship capabilities than others. Again, they're not smarter than others. And that's what leads into a situation that if you look at Jews in the world, you see, look at America. Many of the companies in Silicon Valley were established by Jews, which is a small minority in America. You look at Hollywood. Most of the companies that, the first ones that built the cinemas market were Jews. Goldman, Meyer, whoever, with the lion. Hey, go to New York. You find many of the fund managers, the guys, the people who all the large law firms are Jews, a much higher percentage than the part of the. And so it comes to entrepreneurship. Israel is a place of many Jews. We do have amazing entrepreneurship. Luckily for Israel, in the last 30 years, there was a very good environment for the technology and entrepreneurship to go. We had governments that at the worst case were not involved at all, which is okay as well. In the best case, they were great supporters of entrepreneurship and science and knowledge, wonderful universities. So we are still in a place of, great country for entrepreneurs. On the other side, we do have currently a guy, and I cannot be out of politics because it's part of our lives. Unfortunately, in the last year, we, unrelated to the October 7, we are at the hands of a government that doesn't understand that what makes this country such a great country is entrepreneurship, technology, science, engineering. It's come on, we don't need it. Yeah, they are totally wrong. And that's a big problem in the country. And of course, October 7, it's not a result of that, but it's a result of being in a position that the focus is not at what's right for the country and how to make this country better and how to look for a peace, because peace finally is required for Israel. Israel won't stay as a country hundreds of years, battling, fighting all the time with others. There are always issues, there are always situations that, you will fail. We can't afford being in a position, being surrounded by hundreds of millions of Arabs, being in position that we constantly have to protect ourselves or fighting with them. And unfortunately, we are in a government that doesn't really understand it. And this causes a situation that we got October 7. The high tech is there, but it's not in its best. It's more difficult to raise money. It's more difficult to sell. Sometimes, we have great companies, and in a situation that they were selling a product, they are a bit pushed back, or the customers are choosing to sit on the fence and waiting to things to be clear. But we will overcome. We will overcome because I think it's a great nation. I think it's a great country. And if I talk about IQ, so clearly you can talk about IQ, EQ, and AQ of countries. Israel has a great AQ. The country was established by people who went through the Holocaust and survived the Holocaust. And the guys who survived the Holocaust, many of them were the guys that do have the right capabilities to overcome this crisis and get out of that even stronger. So bottom line, I'm optimistic about the future of the country. I do believe that the guys which are managing now will go back to their place. Always in any country, there are the guys who are the lunatic guys, the ultra-Orthodox, and they should have, it's okay that any country will have those guys, but they have to go back to the position as a small minority and not the guys that are leading, sitting with the wheel. They should be the guys maybe sitting on the back of the bus saying, hey, driver, why don't you drive faster? Hey, driver, why don't you take this road? No. They should sit on the car, they have their place, but the driver has to go and drive the right way, the right speed. The right means to continue and get to our target. This should not be the drivers, that's my belief. And I believe that in some time, maybe months, maybe years, we'll get back into a normal government.
Yeah, you need entrepreneurial leadership.
Absolutely.
Not politics to run the country.
I fully agree.
Thank you so much for joining us today and sharing your story. Very fascinating. And we are looking forward to host you in our summit. So we are hosting summit during Web Summit in Lisbon on November 13. we are inviting all the investors from around the world to join us for our annual global summit. So it'll be our pleasure if you can join us.
I'm dying to actually visit Lisbon. I think that I was in almost any country in the world. I do have many years, so I had many chances to visit everywhere. Yeah. And I've never been to Lisbon. I heard very good things about your country.
So you should join. Yeah, you should join us.
November 13 is nearby the date my daughter is getting married.
Married? Okay.
And when my daughter is getting married, I will be there for her.
Of course. Yeah. More important. Great. Thank you so much. And we will share with you the results of this podcast and hopefully share it with your followers as well.